Hey physics, I promised you guys a help video for the sticky data table. This is something you still need to turn in, even though we have had the test, you still can. So here is how you are going to answer each one of these parts. Activity 1 had the Van de Graaff machine, oops, I misspelled that, and the aluminum pans. When the Van de Graaff was off, the aluminum pans just sat on the top. This happened because the charges were balanced, so there was no interaction. Remember that even neutral charges are just balanced charges. They have the same amount of positive charge and negative charge. When the Van de Graaff was on, the aluminum pans fell off. This happened because the machine built up a negative charge, which transferred onto the pie pans, causing them to repel from the machine and each other. So things to make sure you see there are that it's a negative charge building up on the Van de Graaff. I know at the very beginning of our looking at this, I said maybe this is a positive charge, but now we know for sure that it's electrons jumping off of the band and jumping onto the metal sphere. So that's a negative charge. And that charge transfers onto the pie pans, causing them to get that negative charge, and then they don't want to be close to each other anymore because there's too much negative charge altogether, so they fly off, okay? So then we had the tape activity. When the top and bottom pieces of tape came together, they attracted. This happened because the unlike pieces of tape had opposite charges, just like magnets having opposite charges, opposites attract. So when the bottom pieces of tape, two bottom pieces came together, they repelled, and that happened because the like pieces of tape had the same charges, and like charges repel. Same thing when the top pieces of tape came together, they also repelled because they had the same charges, and like charges repel. So then we had the balloon and the paper strips. So when the balloon was uncharged, the paper strips just sat on the table. And this happened because both the balloon and the paper had balanced charges, so there was no reason for them to interact. They were neutral. But when the balloon was charged, the paper strips stood up straight and jumped onto the balloon. This happened because charged objects attract uncharged objects in order to balance out their charges. So then we had the balloon and the hand activity. When the balloon was uncharged and I put my hand near it, nothing happened because the charges were neutral, so there was no reason for there to be any interaction. But when the balloon was charged and I put my hand near it, it jumped towards my hand and it stuck to my hand. This happened because the charged objects are attracted to uncharged objects, so they can balance out their charges, right? Because that balloon may have more negative charge on it, but my hand has positive charge in it, so that negative charge just repels the negative charge in my hand, and that balloon finds its balance with my uncharged hand. So then we had the glass rod and fur and the glass rod and silk. When I rubbed the glass rod with fur, the balloon was slightly attracted, and this happened because the balloon was negative and the rod is slightly positive, opposites attract. When I rubbed the glass rod with silk, the balloon was attracted, and this happened because the rod had a positive charge. Again, negative balloon, positive rod, so they're going to attract. When I had the acrylic rod and fur, when I rubbed it with fur, the balloon was attracted, and this happened because the rod had a positive charge. When I rubbed the acrylic rod with silk, the balloon had a weak attraction because the rod is slightly positively charged. So again, negative charged balloon, positive rod, that's what's going to happen there. Rubber rod and fur. When I rubbed the rubber rod with fur, the balloon was repelled because that gave the rubber rod a negative charge, and the balloon having a negative charge was repelled by that. When I rubbed the rubber rod with silk, the balloon was attracted, and that happened because the rod was positively charged. So positive rod, negative balloon, they're attracted. So activity 5, we ended up using a different demonstration a little bit. So I changed some of the words here, and I highlighted the words that I changed so that you can do the same thing on yours. I used a charged acrylic rod and a balloon. So when I put the acrylic rod with, charged it with the fur and put it near the balloon, they attracted. And that happens because charged objects are attracted to neutral objects. So then we had the rubber rod and the balloon. When I charged the rubber rod with fur and balloon, they attracted. Same reason. Charged objects are attracted to neutral objects, so they can balance their charges. When I charged the glass rod and the balloon, when I charged the glass rod with fur and put it near the balloon, they attracted because charged objects are attracted to neutral objects. Same thing here, acrylic rod with silk and balloon, they attracted, same reason. Rubber rod and balloon, they attracted, same reason. Glass rod and balloon, they attracted. So it doesn't really matter what kind of charge is there. If there's a charged object and an uncharged object, they're going to attract, okay? So that's it.